I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never should.
Yeah, this is bite down hard and going raw, man.
Let's bite the pillow. I'm going in dry. This might be our last episode while we're still in these United States.
Yes.
As we speak, I think like other states are sending state not National Guard, of course. What are they called? Not State Guard. What?
The reserves or
the state reserves, whatever, soldiers, guys with guns and weapons and shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Texas. I mean, I know there's been discourse about a national divorce, Civil War, the Civil War movies coming out. Dude, we talked about that a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
Like, do you think they delay it?
The movie?
Yeah.
They probably would, but it would be great if they didn't. It'd be great if like, no, we're gonna cash in on this.
Yeah, that's true too. It is A24 also.
Yeah.
So maybe they'd be like, no, we're edgy. This is what it's for. I don't know, man. I don't know about you. I'm with Texas. Like fuck that shit. Like they should be able to control their own state. I don't know. I get we're a republic. I get there's the supremacy clause. I get all that. I really do.
Yeah.
Even the Supreme Court, all of that shit. But I mean, this is like kind of basic, like, you're not doing your job, federal government. Like it is a losing, unpopular position that the federal government has taken. They don't know what the hell they're doing. The Republicans, in a way, are kind of doing the same thing that the Democrats did forever with abortion. They're like, well, we're not going to fix it. Like, we're not going to fix your mess because it's going to help us in upcoming elections. Like, so I get that. Like, that's politics, bitch. Like, I don't know. I think it sucks. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like Texas they're trying to protect themselves. They're trying to, it's a drain on resources. It's inhumane also. Like there are parts of El Paso and parts of Texas that are just like third world. And even a lot of like, I was reading an article today about like, Black Democrats in Chicago are protesting about this shit. Cause it's like, we didn't sign up for this.
Right.
Like this is what we want our tax dollars going for, because smartly, these border states are sending people all over the country. New York, I mean, Democrat Eric Adams, like, they're saying it's unsustainable. So, I mean, I kind of get it. I think that Texas is at a breaking point.
Right.
And I'm all for it. Like, I don't know. I'm with Texas on this too.
Yeah, I am. I'm not in favor of a national divorce.
No, I'm not.
But in terms of their stance, yeah, I'm in favor of it.
Yeah. Because our states are not going to. I mean, it's literally, besides Vermont, which surprisingly has a Republican governor, but everyone's like, oh, he's actually one of the most popular governors in the country. And Vermont's like the most liberal state in the country, like blue state. But people are like, yeah, but he's like a Vermont Republican. He's like, basically, it's just the party he ran for. But besides that one, I'm pretty sure it's just because right now governors are split, I think, perfectly evenly in this country. That's how we look. But I did look this up before. I think it's like, is it 27-27? But I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't add up right. So I don't know how they got those numbers. But like basically every Republican governor has come out and supported Texas.
Yeah.
Even ones that aren't, and it's not like it's just Alabama and Mississippi and Florida. It's like New Hampshire's Republican governor is supporting Texas, and he like has issues with Trump. I mean, and then there are states that people don't really realize have Democrat governors, like Kentucky and Kansas, North Carolina, and they haven't. I'd like to see what they do here.
Right.
But it's fun. Like, it's just so typical. It's like pure politics.
Yeah.
Like the Arizona Democrat governor's not, even though it's a border state, but like the Republican New Hampshire governor is. Like, it's just pure politics.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, man. It was kind of fun to talk about this. It's getting kind of scary.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so stay tuned. Tune into the Reckless Musecast, where we will be giving you live updates from the trenches.
Yeah. I mean, we're coastal elites, so I don't know, man. I could see California, New Jersey. We're usually pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Like we tend to be like moderate blue for the most part, sometimes red, but usually like moderate blue for the most part. But California likes to stick their nose in shit. So I wouldn't be
know.
surprised if Newsom's like, we're gonna go support the federal government and send troops in there, and now we're just in a fucking civil war. Like,
I know, and you know, like because LA is so it's California's most populous city. It's also going to be like, you know, that's if Texas had nukes, they'd drop them here. So
100%, yeah, man. That's what I always tell people who are like pro-Ukraine shit. And it's like, where do you think they're hitting first? They're hitting New York and DC first. Like,
Right.
if there's any nukes, so you like people in Kansas are going to be relatively okay if anyone's going to be okay. Like that's where they're hitting. Come from the east, and then the west. It's going to be LA, Seattle.
Right.
I mean, I'd be okay if they nuke Seattle. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I'm just joking. Seattle's cool, I guess. I know people there, so I shouldn't say that.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
You know people in LA too.
Yeah, I don't think LA should be. I don't think LA should be nuked.
Oh, nice. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
I do think New Jersey. I'm not going to hold back. Jersey should be nuked.
I think I've said this before on the show where there's this. It's so like epitomizes New Jersey.
Yeah.
And if you've heard this before, I apologize, but I do want to say it for the episode because it's topical. Obviously, you know Dr. Strangelove, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The movie. So that's based on a book called Red Alert. At least I think that's what it's called. And Red Alert is very much not like a satire. Like it's
a serious Cold War.
It's like serious or Cold War book. And in that book, we, as in the United States, basically accidentally nuke like a medium or small city in Russia, like not Moscow, but like a small city. So our government, as compensation, allows the USSR to nuke Atlantic City. That's like our. I don't think. And I haven't read the book, and I don't think they do it. But that like we offer basically one of our cities, for them to nuke, as in like eye for an eye, and they pick Atlantic City. And of course, that's like so typical New Jersey getting shit on. Like, out of all the city, and that would I live. I mean, I could see Atlantic City from across the street. I live very close. That would not be good for me. I work in Atlantic City, but it's like so fucking typical.
Oh man, dude. I read that Stanley Kubrick, when he was adapting that novel, he was like, "This is just so over the top. I can't treat this seriously. I have to make it into like a comedy." Like,
and it is amazing. And
it's true.
Is the man.
Hey, there's no fighting in the war room.
Yeah, you gotta fight here. You can't fight in here. This is the war room. That's an amazing movie. I just wanted to start with that because this is literally popping off like right now. I sat back down a few hours ago. It was like, oh, you know, Alabama or Oklahoma comes out in support of Texas and Alabama. Now it's like Florida sends 1,100 troops to Texas. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
like holy shit. Like, I don't know. If there's one state, I mean, I know it's banal to say, but like if there's one state I won't fuck with, it is Texas. Yeah. Like they have a lot of pride, they have a lot of guns, and even liberals in Texas have pride in guns. So it's like I don't know.
Reminds there. Speaking of accidentally nuking a European city, there's a Simpsons episode where Homer goes to work for another company, and his boss is a supervillain, but he's super nice to Homer, so Homer doesn't realize that his boss is like a James Bond villain. They actually do kill James Bond in the episode. They thought they actually went for that. There's a part where Homer needs advice from his boss, and in like his office, it's like a missile silo thing. Like it's got like this big metal dome, and then it's like that opens up, and he's about to like it's got a big missile, and so he goes to his boss. He goes, "Hey, boss, I need some advice." And Homer goes, and then his boss goes, Homer, real quick, let me ask you a question. If you can get rid of one country, would it be Italy or France? And then Homer goes, France. And then the guy goes, no one ever picks Italy. And he pushes the button.
That's good.
Oh, man. But, well, I think, something that's even more urgent than the potential of the Civil War is the LA Times laid off a bunch of staffers. That's a
oh no,
that's a real blow.
Oh,
real loss.
I'm so sorry to hear that. That was really the only thing that's really holding the fabric of Los Angeles together was the LA Times. The hard hitting journalism.
Yeah, I mean, calling Larry Elder the black face of white supremacy. I'm like, oh gosh. I mean,
it is. it is the greatest headline ever written. So
Yeah.
I love it. And I know you saw my tweet, which is like, the LA Times may die, but this headline will live forever. And what's funny is, I mean, my God, it reads like a Babylon Bee headline, right? Like that's something that if the Onion wasn't so, crit progressive,
Yeah.
they would write.
Yeah.
Like making fun of that.
Yeah.
But that was completely legit.
Yeah.
And
It's the
I
funniest
don't
thing
feel
ever, man.
bad. I don't feel bad that they're being, like I'm sorry. I'm not a big like lose. I think there's only basically I should say there's only a handful of occupations I would not revel in them losing their jobs, and I'm sure there are even like good, actually legitimate journalists at the LA Times, and I hope
Yeah.
they didn't lose their jobs.
Right.
But so much of it, like it causes such a schism in this country that it's actually like, no, they're actually harming the country. It's not like this is just like oh well, the market is, there's no need for the product or the service the product you're making, the service you're providing is no longer necessary, but like you served us well for 40. It's like, no. You're sowing discord.
Yes.
With this shit. You promote, I think the LA Times was the ones who did the, remember we used to have a segment called White Hispanic Watch? It kind of died with like, it was like right around the racial reckoning. They like just a Latino officer shot someone. And any other day, any other time, any other probably publication, they'd say like, if they're even going to include race, they would say Latino, maybe Hispanic. And here they go out their way to say white Hispanic. Like that wasn't a thing.
Right.
You just made that a thing because you don't want to say Hispanic or Latino. So you make it white Hispanic Latino.
Yeah.
I think that was the LA Times. I'm not positive. But shit like that.
Right up their alley. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's and it's funny. Like it's but yeah, I mean, there was one. So all of these journalists, and you're right. Like I'm sure that there are plenty of journalists who are probably who were just kind of doing their jobs. Like, oh, we're just covering
traffic.
arts and culture. We're just covering local news. We're just doing the facts. It's like, I'm not happy about them losing their jobs. But yeah, but so many of like the intersectional brigade, journalists from that. Like, of course, they took to Twitter and were like, and they were invoking identity politics. They were like, there was one chick. She was like, I was like one of the handful of Latina journalists at the LA Times, and I was covering women and this and that. And it's like, yeah, like that you're touting that like it's your resume. Like that's not going to be your skyhook. That's not going to be the thing that's going to save you. And so it's been a lot of fun. Ripping on, and I'm ripping on the idiots.
Sure, yeah. I want us to be clear about that. Like, someone losing their job, it's one of the shittiest things that can happen. That really sucks. But like, so I want but that those are not who we're we're celebrating. We're celebrating the people who honestly would not, like, if they heard our opinions, they would not think twice, but to walk us to the gibbet, to pillory us. Like, they would be fine with that. They would celebrate us losing our jobs. So and I'm very confident in saying that. So it's those kind of people who they're not it's not like they're a net neutral for society. They're like, no, they're a net negative. Like, they're worse for our country. And that I'm fine with them.
This is there are a few funny ones. So Noah Goldberg, who's a writer at the LA Times, he tweeted a picture of the LA Times newsroom today. What's missing? And it's just like an empty newsroom. And then Joel Berry on Twitter, he goes, "Think of all the unhoused migrants you can hold in there now." And it's George Alexopoulos, who's been on the show. He quote tweeted it. He goes, "That sucks. Hey, remember that time the press said Americans should lose their jobs if they didn't get vaccinated?"
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Oh my God. Even like perfect examples. Like, yes, these were the publications, and I'm sure it was the LA Times too. I think I saw that come out.
They did. They said, like it was like moxing the unvaccinated is mean, but it might be necessary.
Yes, that was them.
That was
like,
them.
I couldn't remember if that was the New York Times or Washington Post. They all kind of get. New York Times has the capability to still make really good journalism.
Yeah. They have John McWhorter there.
Also terrible journalism. The LA Times just seemed terrible. Like, there was nothing. I'm not just saying that to gloat. Like, I can't remember reading an article from the LA Times. I was like, oh, that was good. Like, I'll still do that with the New York Times. Like, once in a while, I will share something from the New York Times because it's actually like hard hitting and investigative. Like I don't remember that ever coming out of the LA Times.
Yeah.
LA Times is kind of like the West Coast Washington Post.
Yeah,
Like, same thing.
exactly.
That's
really
all
is.
it is.
It really
New York
is.
Times is kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
Even though I still think it's overall pretty much like crit trash, but
I know, and it's sad because like for the longest time, like the LA Times, this is the paper of record. It seemed like that's like the gold standard of journalism, right? But
the LA Times or the New York
the
Times?
New York Times,
the New York Times, yeah, the Gray Lady. I mean, yeah, it still has that cachet, but it's also printed too much like bullshit for me to really like. Maybe you should pay attention more to like who is writing it. You're right, like John McWhorter, like I trust what he says, like for the most part.
Yeah,
I'm gonna trust him. So maybe we should focus more on that instead of the publication itself. But like the LA Times just never put out anything I remember finding interesting.
The only time that I didn't like want to punch my screen when reading the LA Times was just reading like a local, like non-culture war related story where it's like, oh, that's an interesting little backstory about that restaurant or something. Like, but like,
I think local. I would love a return to local papers more. Like, when I'm in the city, I'm usually on the Upper West Side. That's where our apartment is, and they have a very literally an Upper West Side publication that's for free. It's just in little boxes, hard copy. Like, grab it, short, and it's great because it'll be like everything. Obviously, is on the upper. It's like this meeting or what people are complaining about or issues, and it's like that. If I lived there full time, that's what I would want to know. Like where I live, there is one called The Current, and it's like 3 towns that make up like what's so-called like the mainland here, and that's like that's like very, very local. And besides like restaurant openings and stuff, it's all like high school things and nothing that hard, like nothing that interesting. It has like property tax stuff and whatever. But like the Press of AC, that's like probably a Southeast New Jersey regional paper. Like I get a lot of my news from that. Like that's it's one of the only ones around here, and I would rather see a return. Like I don't need the Press of AC's take on like Ukraine. Like I don't even think they publish anything about it really. Like it'd be nice if the LA Times just focused on Los Angeles. It probably would have a higher readership because people in LA can get shit about international affairs or like all that from anywhere, from the internet, but they can't get the local stuff from anywhere. Right. So maybe there's a return to that, but that's probably just wishful thinking.
Well, it's funny because I was writing for 2 publications up until yesterday. I just got laid off, and so it's fine. Long story short, my other job will most likely be giving me some additional hours to make up for that. So I'll be all right. But it's funny. So I was texting you back and we're talking. Oh, this is a good opportunity to actually really focus more on TRM. We're going to be expanding to various franchises. So we're just going back and forth about some ideas.
In-N-Out Burgers in Oakland sounds like a fail-safe.
Exactly. But I sent you this text. I said because this was right like the day after the mass layoffs from the LA Times. I said, I now know though how those laid off LA Times writers are feeling, and yet I still don't sympathize with them. And then you said they were making society worse. You weren't.
Yeah, it's true. Like you were writing about like music, right, and like movies.
Pop culture, film. So I was writing for Slash Film and then Grunge.com, and they're both owned by the same organization. Well, I didn't sign any non-disclosure agreements, so I can share all of their dirty little secrets. No,
excellent.
There's not. They were kind of semi-woke. I mean, they were woke. Luckily, I didn't have to write anything that would compromise my values. But every once in a while, like I did write an article. Like, it was like the 12 best episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and so there's one episode where Larry David's friend commits suicide, and then he's at his friend's funeral, and he starts flirting with the dead dude's wife at the funeral. And so like when I'm writing like a brief summary of the episode, I wrote after Larry David's friend kills himself and he's at his funeral, like, oh, you can't say that they killed themselves. You have to say died by suicide, because but just like dumb little shit like that. So they sent it back to me to correct that stupid little thing. It's like,
I've heard that too, but I always thought like suicide, like that's the thing that's why all these language rules are dumb, because they correct. Like they go back. Like I remember when I was in I forgot what it was. I was in college or something. It's something to do with some suicide prevention hotline type thing, some organization. And they're like, you're not supposed to even use suicide. It's supposed to be take your own life. And it's like, but it's funny. Like they're saying, and that was like 10 years ago, let's say.
Yeah.
It was actually probably was exact or 11 years ago. They're saying like use suicide. It's just like when we did that Stanford. Remember when all those terms came out for the Stanford thing? It was like black. It's like, no, use black instead of African American. I was like, a kid of the 2000s, like growing up in the 2000s, everyone tripped over themselves to say African American instead of black. It's so much so that we were learning about Africa and in 7th grade, and someone said the African Americans there. My teacher was like, well, they're just Africans.
Yeah.
Like that's how much people would trip over themselves to say it. And now it's like, oh no, we're saying black again. It's like, well, what the fuck? I can't keep up. It's like,
I know, it's ridiculous. Oh man, but so I'm glad I don't have to deal with those stupid rules anymore.
Yeah, and you can focus on the pod, baby.
Yeah, we're expanding, we're growing.
We are growing. Oh, so yeah, let's do this now. Let's shift topics. Patreon. So we don't do it the last 10 seconds of the episode. Patreon. We have one. Please sign up for it if you like. We have merch. You can support it from like $3 to $29. All different types of merch. If you don't want to do that and you don't want to commit yet, we understand. We have to earn your trust, but you can also send us. You can buy some beer, is what we're calling it. You can make a one-time donation to the pod. We use that to pay for stuff like streaming services and food for Chomper, which is very important, so he's not barking during the episodes.
Gambling debts.
Yeah. Wait, do you have a gambling problem?
No.
Right.
Well, not yet.
You shouldn't come to Atlantic City then. And so you can give us a one-time donation, and that's all down below the
links
episode.
in the description.
Links in the description.
And if you are a writer, if you write short stories or poetry or you commentary, write for us, the Reckless Muse Medium publication.
Yeah, it's pretty broad. What get to read some things to get an idea of what we're looking for in fiction and nonfiction. But it's pretty broad publication, broad interest. Yeah.
And also, but if you write for something where it's like, you can't really publish it anywhere else because it's too racist, we'll give it a look.
Yeah, we're like, it's like the Daily Stormers fiction.
No, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
We're kidding, but no, but seriously, if you're writing something that maybe it's a little provocative or it's a little edgy and it's kind of hard to publish it anywhere else, send it our way and we'll take a look. So
all right. So that's that. Oh, and like and subscribe and share with friends on social media. Okay. Today we are going to talk about the Meat Parade.
It's the newest gay porn that we're working on, and
that's right. That's what we're getting into now. We found a real niche there, and
it's like that movie, Midnight Meat Train. It was a horror movie, but people kept saying like, people kept saying, "Is that gay porn?"
It has nothing to do with gay porn.
No, it doesn't.
Midnight Meat Train. No. So the Meat Parade is what we call the Oscars, which we get that from the infamous
George C. Scott.
George C. Scott quote. He called the Oscars a 2-hour meat parade, which is so amazing. Now I actually like the Oscars as a cinephile, like the Oscars as like any kind of historian would. People like history, like dates, and they like names and like all that shit. Who fought who conquered, and that's the thing with the Oscars. Like, well, who won in 1997? Who won this? And it's flawed. Yes, we know it's flawed. We know that it's gotten even more political. I understand which we're going to talk about here, which is ironic. We understand all of that, but it's still fun. And if you want to give more credence to Sundance or Cannes or the Atlantic City Film Festival, which does exist, that's in October. That's fine. But we're gonna talk about the Oscars. I still enjoy it. I don't know. It is. If you can get through the cringe acceptance speeches, which this year are going to be a doozy on the gender side of things. It was race a few years ago. Now it's going to be gender. Women, which have do you know who's made a comeback is women. Women have really made a comeback. Really from the Dobbs decision all the way to now to Barbie, which we will get into. I say we just start with that.
Yeah.
Barbie's back in the discourse.
Ugh.
I know. We thought this would be. We talked about this over the summer, right?
Yeah.
Barbie's back because it's. I mean,
Was
it
it?
is back. Barbie was nominated for an Oscar. For many Oscars for Best Picture, though. Barbie was nominated. Also, the whole thing about women not being nominated is also not true. America Ferrera, unfortunately, was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Ryan Gosling, not a woman, was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and he was the best part of that movie. Like anyone who's being honest will tell you that he was the best part of that movie. Margot Robbie, I like her a lot. She's a really good actress. She took a backseat in that movie. I'm sorry. Like, doesn't mean she was bad. She was really good, but she is not. I don't think that I don't even have to go look at the actress. So she'd be actress in a leading role, right? I have only seen one of these so far. So the one other thing people forget: there are 10 Best Pictures, right? So there's a higher chance to get picked because it's double. It's only 5 for everything else, I believe, but especially for acting. So right now the nominees are Annette Bening for Naiad. I have that on my list to watch. Lily Gladstone, Colors of the Flower Moon. Gonna watch that. Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall. Definitely gonna watch that. It's like a French legal drama. Cannot fucking wait. Carey Mulligan for Maestro. I watched that last night. We'll talk about that. And Emma Stone, I've heard, is fantastic in Poor Things.
Yeah, I need to see Poor Things. I heard good things about that one.
Yes, me too. I'm definitely going to watch that. This is a cursory look. We're going to touch on this again, of course. I watched so many movies from 2023 this year, and of course the Oscars comes out, and I've seen 3 of the 10 Best Pictures, now 4 because I watched Maestro last night. So I try to get ahead of it, but now when these come out, which came out this week, I really narrow it down to focus on seeing these movies. So again, I'll have a better idea of my opinion, but I can't imagine that Margot Robbie did better than these actresses.
Yeah.
And
she still got nominated, though. She still got nominated for producing Barbie. So
yeah, fine. Right. She got nominated for producing. Okay. But what I also don't get about we're going to talk about director, but the Margot Robbie discourse is these are all women.
Yeah.
Like it's not just best actor, gender neutral actor term where it was 10 men, no women. Like all the 5 nominees are women. So I don't even understand the arguments. Like, okay, because her movie had a feminist message, which I think there's actually a lot of good arguments that Barbie is very conservative. No. We won't get into that right now, but I think we touched on that in the episode over the summer. But like Annette Bening and Naiad, that's about a woman who swam from Cuba to Florida. I think the first person to do that. Well, I mean, there were probably some migrants who'd done that, but like the first woman who's a white American to do that.
Yeah.
That's pretty. That's pretty feminist.
Yeah.
I don't know about these other ones. That for Carey Mulligan and Maestro, she was good, really good. I just don't think that's a very good movie. Like, I don't think that's a great movie.
Yeah, I really wanted to see that because I really like Leonard Bernstein, but or is it Bernstein?
Bernstein. Yeah, I just watched it last night.
Yeah, because I really like him. So
yeah, I mean, you love classical music.
Yeah,
I think you would be disappointed, just like I was disappointed, because you watch a movie like Maestro about is it safe to say the greatest American composer of all time?
At least of the 20th century, yeah.
Of the 20th century, and it's like, and also a composer who's known for his like very emotional gesticulations and arm. Like he was a performer in his own right.
Yeah, and
like in Lydia Tarr, which came out last year, which I loved, and I said you should watch this. Someone who loves classical music, like her whole thing is based on Leonard Bernstein.
Yeah.
Bernstein or Bernstein? Because she used to watch, and they barely touch on that about his teaching kids about music, and she would watch those videos by just spoiled
young people's concerts.
Yeah. And her whole like long arm movements and all of that. There is like one fucking scene in that movie that shows this. Really? And that's what made me so angry. And it was the best scene of the movie. It was so good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and instead it's a lot about him being gay.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? This, like, I'm sorry. This is why I came to watch this.
Yeah.
Is to see Bradley Cooper, because I don't know Leonard Bernstein. Like if he was, like I didn't know his work. I know him from references and other pop culture things. So I don't know if he's doing an impression or if he's acting. I can't speak to that. But whatever I watched in that one scene where he's giving a show in it looks like a cathedral, a big church. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then besides that, there's like 2 other scenes where it's like barely a little of him composing. The rest is him like fucking around with young men and family issues. And it's like, that is such bullshit. Like, I'm sorry. We need more movies about like famous famous people who were gay. And I think he was bi or whatever. And it was very open for the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not interesting.
Right.
That's not like you could write a movie, you could write a script about a fictional person or about like any kind of story, and there's thousands of them, and some of them are great movies and great stories. But that's not why I'm watching the Leonard Bernstein movie.
Yeah, it's annoying. I have not seen it. My a college buddy of mine was visiting me in LA last month, and we studied music together. And he goes, "Yeah, I had to turn it off because the same thing. He's like, yeah, I wanted to see it for the music stuff. But there's
not a lot there."
Yeah, exactly. So he shut up halfway through, and he goes, "Unless the second half there's more music, there was no music in the first half." So
he's right. There is the scene I'm talking about. Literally comes like an hour and a half. I think I clocked it. I checked. Yeah. So I'm like, it takes an hour and a half for you to get to this scene. An hour and a half. It's like you're telling me how great this person is. And again, I consider myself like pretty cultured in terms of like knowing people, knowing art. Like I know a lot of shit, and I'm like, why is he famous? Show me why he's famous. All you do is telling me how much people love him, how great he is, but I haven't seen it on screen yet. I'm just kind of taking your word for it.
Yeah, he also wrote the music for West Side Story.
Yeah, and On the Waterfront.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, I know that he's fantastic. The first time I ever heard him referenced was in a Seinfeld episode with the maestro. It was like, oh, Leonard Bernstein can like be called the maestro, but I can't. I don't know. That always stuck with me.
Yeah. Leonard Bernstein has always I've never been to New York City, but he's always kind of struck me as sort of like the epitome of like cultured New York City.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, lives on his apartment was on Central Park West. Yeah. I walk on that street a lot, and there's a big argument scene on Thanksgiving where, if you know, the Macy's Day Parade goes down Central Park West, and Snoopy is like going past his window.
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
This is like prime New York City real estate.
Yeah.
Like if I could pick anywhere to live in New York City, like any neighborhood, price is not an issue. Central Park West, like around probably the 70s. Like probably that area near like 72nd Street. Yeah. I have no idea where he lives in there. Like that's one of my top choices. You're literally across it. Like you could see Central Park from your window. Yeah. And so yes, he was very much like and I have a
cosmopolitan culture, New York City, East Coast.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for one of the opening scenes is I'm a sucker for like the 1950s house party where like there's someone playing piano and everyone's kind of joking and drinking cocktails and stuff and dressed well. Like I like that shit. Very Mad Men. So that's like I am just like I'm we're gonna get to her actually who did Barbie? Who directed Barbie?
Greta Gerwig.
Like mumblecore, like a bunch of white 28 to 33-year-olds living in Brooklyn, like in 2012. I'm sold. I'm in. I love these kind of movies. I just love that shit. That's another kind of those aesthetics. But yes, like the 1950s, early 60s house party. People are dressed well and drinking cocktails, and I love it.
Jazz in the back.
Yeah, jazz, and people are joking around, and people actually like performed. And they did like he's playing the piano and people are doing little songs and shit. I don't know. I like it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well.
So anyway, I recommend. Yeah, I want to get to that. So for you, I don't think you'd like my show, but I do share my reviews on here and my score. So I'll just give the score. I'm giving it. I haven't written it yet. I think I'm gonna give it a 77. So it's like it's good. Like the acting is really, really good. It's one of those movies where like the story just stinks.
Yeah.
The story stinks. We've seen it 100 times. Like, okay, it's a broken marriage because he wants to fuck boys.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I shouldn't say that boys. Like he wants to fuck young men.
Yeah.
Like even you know, they basically tell you that he's banging like one of his students, and he's like a white-haired old man, and the student's like a young, looks like multiracial, probably 29-year-old.
Right.
Like, yeah, okay, we've seen it 1,000 times. Show me. And you do see why he's so good around that. Like, I want more of that.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying take out the sex. I'm not saying take out the gay angle, the cheating, whatever it is. But like, we're here for the music and for the
virtuosity,
unique person. Yeah, for the person who's unlike 99.9% of other people.
Yeah.
That's why you make a biopic. You don't make a biopic about ordinary people.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you should watch that scene though. You should just go like look up Leonard Bernstein. I don't know, cathedral composing scene, and it's really good.
I think it was like Rachmaninoff symphony or Brahms symphony or something.
Mm.
Anyway, but yeah, okay. So let's
Greta
let's
Gerwig. So yeah, so Barbie. We'll finish up here. Greta Gerwig, director. So let's pull up the directors.
Justine
directing.
Triad.
Justine Triet. So that is a woman. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So again, they're like no women. It's like right there. That's a woman, and the other 4 are men. Score like okay. Of course, Marty and Christopher Nolan are going to get nominations, right? Like it's not like they directed crap movies. I haven't seen either of them yet. I'm going. I'm probably going to watch Oppenheimer this week. But like very like critically acclaimed movies. Like they're not. I love Yorgos Lanthimos. I think he's a very. He did Killing of Sacred Deer, which has Barry Keoghan, who's one of my favorite actors now. We're going to talk about the real fucking snub in this, and Saltburn, also directed by a woman, which I think that, like, I loved that movie. The reason why Saltburn is not technically a snub is because it's not that, like, widely loved. Like, I think on Rotten Tomatoes it has, like, in the 70s on both.
I've heard generally good things about it, though.
I have not. Yeah, it's a 71 for the critic score. What a fucking joke.
What about the audience, though?
71, 79. So, like, it's not like it's a 55, 98. Like, it's kind of the same. I loved that movie. And not only did I love, like, the directing is notable. Like, you recognize the directing in the movie. That's Emerald Fennell.
Okay. Yeah.
Who did Promising Young Woman, a movie I really liked, too. A very, very good movie. But Saltburn, I think, was awesome. And the directing was awesome. And you know what part of directing is letting when to control your actors and when not to. And she let Barry Keoghan run wild in some scenes. And I thought they were great.
Nice.
And I love that. And it's like that to me should get a directing nom.
Yeah.
Not Barbie.
Right.
Like what was special about Barbie? Like that was from a directing standpoint.
Right.
Not from the color palette, not from the message, not even from the acting, which can be great in part directing, of course.
Sure.
But like Saltburn, the directing, like the shots, like there's sometimes I'm like, oh my God, that shot's gorgeous. Holy shit. His face doesn't even look real there. Like lighting, like that's all directing. Again, I haven't seen these. I know. So that's Poor Things is Yorgos Lanthimos, who I just went off a tangent there because of Barry Keoghan's in a Yorgos Lanthimos movie, but he's great. What he did that one with the lesbians, Queen. I forget. Olivia Colman won an Oscar for it.
Oh, okay.
The whatever. It's like the lesbians fighting over the queen lesbian. And then I forget.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then Zone of Interest, that's getting a lot of love too. I think Holocaust movies tend to.
Yeah.
I think Israel has the right to exist. And that's I heard it's great. I plan to watch all of these, but I can't imagine that I'm gonna watch any of these movies and be like Gerwig snubbed. Like Gerwig, like no, I can't imagine. I think she's a great director. I really like Frances Ha, which is exactly that kind of movie I was talking about, like white 20-somethings in Brooklyn. Like that's that I think they're in Brooklyn, maybe Manhattan. I forget what else she's done, but I like her a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't think Barbie will, like, I don't think she deserves it for directing. I've seen none of these actually, right?
Right.
I've seen none of them. So I honestly can't say, but they all have very, very, like, they're all very well regarded.
Yeah.
Anatomy of the Fall is supposed to get a ton of like people are really loving that movie. And
I have not seen it.
I have
or
not
heard.
either. So it's a French legal drama, which sign me up. But what's funny is that I'm like, wait a minute, why is that not for international feature, right? Because if that's being nominated for, is that Best Picture too? I assume so. Hold on, sorry. Best Pick, yeah. If it's being nominated for Best Picture, why wouldn't it be? And there are international features not being nominated for Best Picture. It stands to reason that it would be also nominated for international. But the way international works is that, and I looked all this up, is that was not France's entry. It's like France entered a totally different movie called The Taste of Things, which was on my list. It's I think it's supposed to be very, very good.
It's about food.
Yeah, it's about food. Like a couple reconnected. Yeah, the French, right? No one ever picks Italy. That was their entry. The same thing happened last year with RRR in India. India sent a different movie, even though a lot of people loved RRR. I saw it. It was good. It was really good. It was fun. Kind of. I don't think I'm as used to. I think that's why a lot of indie movies haven't taken off. Here's the whole like kind of random dance stuff, singing, and like not really my style, but it's fun once in a while. And I think that was one of the best ones. That crossover, but yeah, so that kind of sucks because it would probably be a shoo-in for international feature if it doesn't win Best Picture, which it could. I mean, Parasite won Best Picture. That was a foreign film. Yeah. The Artist won Best Picture very controversially. A movie I still have not seen.
Oh, that's a good one.
The silent one?
Yeah. Silent black and white one. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of saw the what's it called? The climax or whatever.
Oh.
Just on a list of best scenes or some shit like that.
Oh, gotcha.
So anyway, that's the Barbie discourse that basically they believe they're entitled to everything. But like, you guys made $1 billion. You had a very successful movie, a good movie. I really liked it. Mm-hmm. You also had very cringe moments that I think are like, and I tweeted this, so I apologize for repeating myself. Like the worst part of that movie to me was not the infamous America Ferrara moist cringe, feminist screed she goes on, which did suck. The worst part for me is honestly, her husband, who's a white guy, so he's horrible and evil. No, so he's like trying to learn Spanish in the movie, and he'll like and of course he's the typical like white dad cuck in any movie, like doormat, and they're shitting all over him. And it's like they don't live in Mexico, they don't live in Chile, they don't live in Argentina. Like he doesn't have to learn Spanish. Right. He's doing it to connect with his wife, America Ferrara, and her and her shitty snotty-nosed daughter like shit all over the guy for trying to have a human connection. And as someone who like has learned other languages and has gone out of their way, like that's the worst thing you can do to someone. Like, don't get me wrong, I rip on Americans when they're like, oh, like they make fun of someone for pronouncing something wrong. It's like, well, how many languages do you speak? Like they're trying here. Like, so I always appreciate when people try to learn our language, and I don't like when people come here for long periods of time and refuse to learn English. Like I think that's wrong too. As someone who has lived in another country that English is not the language, I went out of my way to learn that language out of necessity and respect. And just it's just a quality of life. Like I think it's good to learn that. It's rewarding. So like this guy who's just learning Spanish to connect with his Latina wife. By the way, Latinx is out. If you saw, now it's Latine, E with an apostrophe. So write that down. Yep, that's America Ferrara tweeted that, a Latine artist, because Latinx didn't catch on. I'm waiting for AOC's monologue on that. They just shit all over him and make fun of him for his like pronunciation and stuff, and it makes my blood boil.
Yeah. It sounds like Barbie's a terrible fucking movie that shouldn't have been made. Is what I'm hearing from you, right?
No, I'm not saying.
Where's the thing? I'm like, it was. I haven't seen it. Okay, I'm sure it was a very fun, entertaining, above average, Hollywood blockbuster. But it was based on a Barbie doll, and it's based on a toy. So it's like, and you're shocked that it didn't win Best Picture. It's like I'm happy when it's like, oh wow, look, the Avengers got
hold on.
nominated.
First of all, it can win Best Picture. It's nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't get director.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I'm happy with. Hey, look, the Avengers got nominated for Best Visual Effects. It's cool. Wow. So it's like a movie based on a toy, and you're shocked it didn't get nominated for Best Director. It got nominated for everything else. Like,
verbal meme. Woody Harrelson in Zombieland wiping his eyes with $100 bills. It's like,
exactly,
you guys made billions of fucking dollars. Like,
like
you didn't get one of the top 5 for Best Actress and Best Director. And it wasn't that good of a movie. It was a good movie. It was entertaining, and the best part of it was a guy. Ryan Gosling was the best part. Like, I'm not just saying that to be like, if he wasn't, I wouldn't say that. He was the best part of it. It's why he's nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He was great. And he had the character arc, actually. No one else has a character arc. In fact, the Barbies in it, they go back to, they learn nothing from the events of the movie and basically go back to like, well, we won't keep our foot on your necks that hard. Like, it would kind of be like if, kind of like when after like black people got, free, they emancipated black people, won the Civil War. And then like black people finally got the right to vote. And it was like, well, we're not really going to give it to you. You have to pay a poll tax and pass a test and all of that. So like maybe, 5% of you will get the right to vote. Like, well, actually your votes will actually count. It's kind of what they do in Barbie. It's like, yeah, we'll give you some scraps. That's at the end of the movie when they've learned nothing. Where Ken actually has like a full character arc.
Right.
I think that's it for Barbie Discourse. It's I think what the good part about it though is that it seems like they're kind of getting, I don't think they have a lot of popular support in terms of their complaints.
No, and so even fucking Whoopi Goldberg is like, yeah, they didn't get snubbed.
They didn't get snubbed. It was a pop culture phenomenon. Yeah, that should be good enough.
Right.
Like, it was not a critically, even though it's critically acclaimed, like, it's just, I don't know. I saw the movie, and you're right. If someone's like, well, Ben, you haven't seen any of the other 5 movies for Best Director right now, you know what? You're right. Maybe I'll watch all 5 of those and been like, Greta Gerwig deserves to be in that. I can't imagine that because I already seen a bunch of other movies where the directors are not on this list and should be. One being Emerald Fennell, whoever directed Society of the Snow, which I haven't talked about right now as we speak, is my top movie. I'm assuming some of these others will knock it off.
Yeah.
Right now I have that as a 94. Unbelievable movie about the Uruguayan plane crash in the Andes, the rugby team.
Oh yeah,
it
did
is.
They already make a movie about that though, like Alive.
Yeah, Alive. They did, and I've heard it with like Ethan Hawke, and I've heard it's not like Ethan Hawke. They're stranded for 72 days, and he never like grows a beard and just keeps his like goatee or whatever. I don't know. I was listening to a podcast about the real story, and they reference Alive a bunch, and they were kind of ripping on it on last podcast on the left. But this movie is so good. Because to me, like, anyone listening to the show knows we love horror movies. We do a whole horror fest in October.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's a horror movie. Like a crashing plane crash. You're stranded in the Andes Mountains for 72 days or whatever it is, 71 days. That's a horror movie because that shit can happen. Not like, and I guess Exorcist, I believe, are real or whatever, but like, I don't know, zombies or something, or
some supernatural,
like a lot of other stuff. Anyway,
they made a reference to Alive on The Simpsons. Kind of a parody where they're Marge, she's suffering from like fear of flying in a plane. So Homer gets her all of these like disaster movies about a plane to get, I guess, to help her get over it. But like, I don't know. But she's watching Live, and you don't see it. You just hear it. But like, well, it's a good thing that we banded together, or else we wouldn't be. And they all say at the same time, alive. And then they're like, and then you hear them chewing, and they're like, can you pass me some more co-pilot?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yes.
Resort to cannibalism.
Yeah. They do, and that sucks. And
Nice.
I don't know. I think it's a beautiful, horrific, poignant movie. I
Yeah.
really recommend it. I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a lot of these other ones to. So the topics that I really focus on are what I call like my top 9: best pick, best director, actor, actress, supporting actor, supporting actress, international. And I want to focus on that. I think so many Americans, especially, don't get to see really great movies because they're not okay with subtitles. They're so like the one I was just talking about is all in Spanish.
Mhm.
There's so many great movies out there, and like Bong Joon Ho, I think Bong Joon Ho, Bong Joon Ho was right when during his acceptance speech in the 2019 Oscars, that when he was like, if you get over the idea of like the couple inches on the screen of the words couple inches on the screen, like you will open yourself up to more movies like Parasite. And I agree with him.
Mhm.
Like there are so many good foreign language movies, which they changed that term. I don't know why. I mean, I looked it up and I was like, wait, so is this one of those times where now it's international? Because I looked at Zone of Interest and I'm like, that says the UK.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, but it is a German movie, like takes place in I think Germany, maybe Austria. And I'm like, well, no, I do think it should be foreign language. But I was looking at the rules and like international does mean has to be in 50% or more non-English.
Okay.
So I guess that's fine, like whatever, international. But I'm like, so I was like, wait, so does Banshees of Inisherin count as international? Like, no, okay, fine, but that is international. Like it's Ireland. It's just because they speak English.
Right.
Yeah. Then adapted screenplay and original screenplay. Those are what I care about the most. I know you like some more of the technical stuff.
Yeah. So I'm glad Oppenheimer is leading the pack because that's the only film I think on this out of all of these that I've seen. So I'm like, yeah, cool. I watched, I'm keeping up with the Oscars. I watched that one movie. Hey, John Williams. He got nominated for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. All right, cool.
Heard about him.
So I actually I saw him conduct the LA Philharmonic at the Hollywood Bowl last summer, and he premiered before anybody else some music for that movie, and I was there. When
really
I got So he was recording music for that, and then James Mangold, who directed the Indiana Jones film, goes, yeah. So I was we were recording the score last week, and then the director came in. He goes, hey, that sounds great. Why don't you premiere that at the Hollywood Bowl next week? So I was like, yeah. So and they wrote an article about it in the LA Times, but yeah. So I got to hear some music from that, and then
very sweet.
Yeah, and then so I'm glad that J Dubs is getting his due. And let's see what else. Makeup and hairstyling. The Maestro. Oh, the Maestro. Okay, so that one caused some controversy because they thought like he was doing, I guess, Jew face.
The big nose. Yeah, the schnozzle. Yes, I was looking at that too. I hope that wins. We have makeup and hairstyling. Yeah, Maestro. Yes, I hope I that's who I want to win solely for that. That'd be very, very funny.
Yeah.
I think Poor Things, just like from the look of it,
Yeah.
I think Poor Things might win. It looks very artsy and kind of cool, like exactly that makeup and hairstyling type stuff. I'm gonna try and get to. I mean, I want to watch all of them. That's the thing, and I've had so many of them are just not on streaming or like $20 to rent. And if it's like Parasite, I remember I watched right before the Oscars because it got so much buzz. And I do usually rent a handful of them, and I'm gonna go to the movies probably to see one or two that are still playing. But I really I can get some of these at the library too. I'm gonna get Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Let me see. So actor, Bradley Cooper, Coleman Domingo. I really like Coleman Domingo. I think he's a great actor. I'd like to see that something else was nominated there for Rustin. That was a good movie. I gave it like a 75. Bayard Rustin was a lesser known civil rights leader.
Mm.
That I'm glad that he's kind of getting his due, or I guess he's probably passed away, but his legacy. Paul Giamatti, ooh, this is a tough one. Jeffrey Wright, Cillian Murphy.
Did you see American Fiction?
No, it's on my list. Jeffrey Wright's a phenomenal actor. Even though I am watching him right now in Boardwalk Empire, and he's a lot. He kind of hams it up, but I like it. Like he's a great actor.
I think he's a great actor, but I don't know, the subject of the movie kind of, I don't know, seems kind of heavy-handed.
Oh, I thought it was kind of making fun of that. No,
I hope so, but I don't know. I hope it's kind of making fun of it.
Yeah. Well, I'll see it. Like again, there are certain actors that they've earned that kind of like I'll pretty much watch anything they're in.
Yeah.
And then especially if they're like, I'll watch any Nick Cage movie. I was watching a Nick Cage movie that sucked.
Yeah.
It's called The Retirement Plan. It sucks. Don't watch it. But I did because I'll watch like any Nick Cage movie.
Yeah.
So like Jeffrey Wright, I'll watch anything that he's in. Yeah, I mean, we can get into because really a lot of it are repeats. It's a lot of American Fiction, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things. So like I have to just see these movies to it's a lot, and Anatomy of a Fall to really give a bet. Oh, so one thing I do have a bigger opinion about is although I've not seen 3 out of the 5 actress to supporting role, there's not a chance in hell I want America Ferrera to win. I really hope she doesn't. I'm going to see Nyad soon. That's on Netflix. That's easy. I'll see Oppenheimer probably this week. Color Purple I did add to my list because it has some noms. But Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers is really, really good. I hope she wins because like I don't think she's as a well-known actress. And she plays this role where do you know what The Holdovers is?
No, I don't.
So it's the Paul Giamatti movie. It's like they're at a elite boarding school in New England, very typical, like waspy, what you would imagine in I think it's the early 70s. Yeah, like 71, 72. And a bunch of students have to stay over the holiday week, like the week off or 2 weeks off or whatever for different reasons. And then they will it down to like one kid. So it's a teacher, Paul Giamatti, who's basically playing himself or not playing himself, playing his character from Sideways, which is one of my favorite movies, but like 20 years later. He's like a classics teacher at a boarding school in New England. It's like exactly what you would think he is, right?
Right.
Very cantankerous and strict and highfalutin and all of that. And basically it's him, the student who's very good, like a janitor guy, like a groundskeeper guy, and then a cook, and that's her, Divine Joy Randolph. And you think like with that setup, you kind of, let's say if this movie was made even a decade ago, it would have been like the groundskeeper guy is like the quote unquote magical Negro. And he's really not in the movie that much, but he's like the why. And then she would be like the sassy, large black woman, like cooking. And like, I'm like, oh fuck, is that what this is going to be? Like but it's like, it's not at all. Her character is like really beautiful and reserved, but still compelling and deep. And like, I really liked that they avoided that stereotype. Yeah. When I first saw that, it's like, oh, this is going to be the group we're dealing with during this movie. So this is going to be so typical. It's like she loosens up the white classics professor who can't get a woman because he's so, fastidious and, acts like a mother figure to the white boy whose parents are, on vacation and couldn't even bother picking him up or including him or whatever. And it's like, no, that's not it at all. So I really liked that. And I thought she was really, really good in it. So I hope, unless I see one of these other movies, unless Emily Blunt or Danielle Brooks or Jodie Foster is fantastic, she's my choice for, and I think she will win. I feel like they like to support someone like that. And when I mean someone like that, someone like a less known person, like, oh, we kind of like discovered her. Like now you all know her because of us. So anyway.
Well, I highly recommend Oppenheimer, and I'm pulling for that one. So, well, hey, I haven't seen this one, but I'll pull for it. It's Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Got nominated for Best Visual Effects. So,
okay.
Something that is kind of cool. I have not seen it. It is on my list. It's Godzilla -1.
Yeah, man. It's supposed to be so good.
I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Yeah.
So I'm dying to see it.
Is that nominated for anything?
Yeah, Best Visual Effects.
Okay. That's cool. For the problem with animated features is like it's a mix between
Pixar and
kids movies.
Non-Pixar.
Well, of course, I like anything Miyazaki. I'll watch anything Miyazaki makes. So I really want to see The Boy and the Heron. I mean, he came out of retirement for that, I believe. Yeah, an anime feature film. But like, and while that is, yeah, it's a kids movie, I feel like they're different than like Elemental will be.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. And like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, I thought that came out like 2 years ago.
That was Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
It was actually really fucking good, though.
I know, but I'm sorry, I just don't care. Like,
well, you care about weird things. You care about like Carrie Mulligan and shit. Like,
I like Carrie Mulligan. I think she's good. She's a good actress.
no, you got to care about the Spider-Verse. That's
dude.
what
I watched so many movies this year from 2023. It's not even counting movies from any year.
Yeah.
And it's still like I have to, if I want to see like everything that's nominated for like the big 9, even it's like I have to watch like 15 more movies or something. And I watch so many bad movies too now because man, part of that's me. It's like, oh, I'd like to look at my end of the year. And for us, by the way, when I talk about the end of the year, I mean like up to the Oscars. Like that's my movie year is from like January 1st up to like the Oscars. So it's more like 13 months or so. And because of that, I watched a lot of bad movies just because they were from that year. I was like, all right, I'll throw this on.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be a gem. Maybe this will be good. And while I did find a couple gems, which sometimes makes it all worthwhile, it's a lot of shitty movies.
Yeah.
I watched a good amount of movies that were in like the 20s or 30s for me that I rated in like the 20s or 30s, where usually I don't.
Maybe we should do a worst of at some point. We should do like the worst movies we've seen.
We could definitely do that. I am. It sucks that The Artifice Girl. I thought that movie was really cool. That was like an early 2023 movie. I was really talking up a lot. I give it an 87. It was very cool. And then there's this German movie that is not like Oscar bait, but it was really fucking good called, I think, Blood and Gold. Yeah. It was really fun. World War II movie. More like a defector for the Nazis. The villain in that was like an excellent villain. This like kind of he has like he had like a mutilated face Nazi with glasses, like very much like a like an Indiana Jones villain, but like, better. It was really cool. Sorry, buddy.
It was Jim Jarmusch, that director. I watched.
Jarmusch?
Yeah,
Jim
that guy.
Jarmusch? Yeah.
He was it was some behind the scenes thing, but he was talking about how Nazis in movies smoke their cigarettes weird. Like like it's like he's like they don't just like do this. They always have to like
they have like a
hello. Do we have your papers with you?
Guys expect you to die, Mr. Bond. Yeah. They are always Nazis are kind of like femboys. They're very like oh okay, Mr. Bond. Oh yeah.
What's his face? Shane Gillis did a joke about like gay armies throughout history. Like and he's like, yeah, you think like typical army is bad, but when it's a gay army, it's like, dude, like that's fucking scary. Like it's like like can you imagine like the Nazis? Like yeah, the Nazis were pretty fucked up, but like if they dressed even sharper than they already did, like
yeah, they did look good. That was the thing that the SS. I mean, those uniforms were.
Oh yeah,
it's like damn, they look good.
Well, they look multi-purpose too. Like you can wear them to like a nice dinner party, but you can also wear them like in the trenches and shit. So
yeah, they were casual and formal casual
and genocidal too. So
genocidal. Yeah, it was. Yes. I'm just looking at my list right now. I'm trying to see
best looking dictators.
Yes. All right. I think we're good on because, like I said, I'll watch more and form some more opinions. I can't. Besides Saltburn, I can't think. May December, I thought have gotten more love. It was really good. May December, give it an 88. I think it's for one of the screenplays. It's been nominated. Anyway,
I watched Shazam 2 this past year. I don't see it nominated for anything.
Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't. But I guess I was it was not a particularly good movie. I was hoping it would at least be nominated for best, sequel that wasn't
It's not-
particularly good, but it could have been worse.
That a category sequel,
Yeah,
particularly could that should be a category. It could have been worse. That's true. Hey, could have been worse.
Exactly. If you were nominated for an Oscar, this movie would vote for you.
Yeah, that's good. All right, we'll touch it. We'll check back in on the meat parade as the weeks go on. We got about, I think, 6 or 7 weeks until the Oscars. We'll do our picks and everything again. I suggest maybe watch a few of them. So
I'll watch Oppenheimer again. So
watch Oppenheimer again. I think I am gonna watch that this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. That's our updates from the meat parade.
All right. Well, just because I want to kind of rub it in your face a little bit because I don't care much for the Oscars. They're taking place about like 20 minutes away from where I live, so
I know we went.
I know, so I just want you to know that.
You should just go stalk it.
Just crash the party.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, stay reckless. Fight the crits.
Fight the crits.